All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of I always forget what we're calling this thing. What's
Navigating consciousness.
navigating consciousness. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's been going on. Um, Dude lit himself on fire. That's kind of weird. I don't know if anyone saw that, had the opportunity to see that in its entirety, but it was pretty strange, pretty shocking. North Node, in the or South Node, one or the other. Let me just double check on that. North Node, yeah. North Node in the Gate of Shock, of course. The last line of the Gate of Shock, almost coming to the end of that one. It's been in that gate for quite a while now, and yeah, expect some more shocking things over the next day or two as it moves through moves through the rest of that gate. Um, some other interesting things that have been going on is that Pluto has finally moved into the sixth line of the 60th gate. I've talked about this quite a bit, that we are coming to the end of Pluto in the 60, moving into the 41. The sixth line, first of all, Pluto hasn't been in this gate, in this line, for 248 years. And it will be another 248 until it goes back into it. So, kind of a big deal. I mean, I guess in general, wherever Pluto goes, it hasn't been there for 248 years. So, in general, this is how it goes. I'll read from the Rave I Ching about the sixth line, 60th gate. The line is rigidity. I spoke about this last week a little bit, but the dogmatic, principled, and carefully reasoned understanding that is uncompromising in its severity and often coldly brutal in operation, and uncompromising and severe acceptance of restraint, so uncompromising that the restraint may become unbearable and lead to chronic depression. I mean, that kind of sums up what that dude did. If anyone watched it, it was like pretty bizarre how calm he was before he did it, and how composed he was while he was on fire. It was wild, and I think we're going to see more of that. Um, there is I mean, there's always copycats, but I don't know. It's possible that he was pushed. There's definitely some kind of mind control element to it that I kind of pick up on. And I don't talk about this all that much because it's kind of like just my take on it. There's no proof of most of this. I mean, we know that there have been government operations that have focused on getting people to do things. There's actually a really really cool book called Chaos. I may have mentioned this in previous episodes, but it's about Charles Manson being a CIA asset, and basically how this pretty like unimpressive dude, he's like small and not educated, spent his life in prison, um, how he was able to do what he did, and um, all the times that he should have gotten into trouble, should have been arrested, should have been put back in prison because he was on parole, and he violated his parole numerous times, and yet he wasn't. He was set free every time to go back to his family and keep on doing what he was doing. Um, there was a clinic in San Francisco that was free. It was like a free clinic, and it was run by a guy named Jolly West, who has a very interesting background. He was um, one of the main CIA psychiatrists. He actually interviewed or treated Jack Ruby after Jack Ruby assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald. And when Jolly West went in to see Ruby, Ruby was pretty coherent, and when he left, Ruby was a raving lunatic. Very instrumental in the development of LSD, and everything that kind of came from there. Really, really interesting book. I would highly recommend it. Chaos. I don't remember the author's name right now, but it seems to be a pretty accurate retelling of just how much mind control and manipulation and misinformation and like all the things that we've all been exposed to, I think this is a big part of this. Pluto in this at the end of the 60th gate, the coming into the 41, but just in general, the unraveling. The unraveling of everything that's happened, the unraveling of everything that's been done to us as a society. Thank you. Yeah. Secret History, right? Tom O'Neill, very good book, very very excellent book. You can actually listen to it for free on Spotify, I believe. So something that I've really been feeling and maybe it's maybe it's the planets, it's the program doing its thing, and I'm just like sensitive to it in a certain way, but it just feels like we need to be more proactive rather than reactive. It feels like we're heading into territory that is murky at best, and we've been led astray, and we've been lied to, and we've been manipulated for purposes that I don't think we understand. There's people who talk about extraterrestrials and the deals made with the American government, and that there's like energy harvesting and these sort of like rituals that take place involving children and all that awful business. 9/11 being some kind of energy harvesting ritual. Israel, Gaza, Russia, Ukraine, all these things. It's all useless. It's useless. It's like, why, there's no reason for any of it. So there's got to be a reason that we're not seeing or we're not being told. And it's only going to get worse, right? As this all unravels, there's going to be more desperate plays, more desperate, calls for action in ways that really don't benefit any of us. And I don't know, I'm done. Like, I'm just done with it. I'm done with the lies and the misinformation and people's interpretation of it. It's all best guesses. Nobody knows what's going on. I have yet to meet this book actually gets it pretty close without getting into any kind of the spiritual stuff. That they wanted to undermine the movement, the anti-war, pro-peace, anti-establishment movement that was forming in this country. And so they found some people to do some pretty crazy things, and they were hippies, and they were taking LSD, and it was free love and all that, but it also involved like murder and just a way of life that wasn't okay, wasn't healthy. And the thing is that there's also like plenty of evidence to show that the Soviet Union was playing the other side, right? That a lot of the formation of the counterculture was in part enforced by Soviet influence. The Americans were doing the same thing. And it's just like it's been a war. It's been a war for our whole life, and we're told that it was peace. It was like the most peaceful time ever, right? The end of World War II, like the long summer, it was all peaceful. There was no peace the whole time. Our whole lives, we've just been lied to, manipulated for reasons that, again, we don't understand. And we can think about why they might be doing it, and we can listen to people talk about it, but I don't think we have the truth. I don't know if the truth is even available. All I know is that I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to participate. I don't want to be an observer. The time to do, in the past, revolutions have gone a certain way. That's not what I'm advocating for. It just seems it's like Bitcoin or something. It's like it's just different people on top, So there's no point. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe Bitcoin will be worth a lot of money and you'll have a lot of people with a lot of money and they'll behave the same way people with money have always behaved, right? And they'll lord it over the people who didn't. You know, they're already doing it, saying, you know, driving around in their nice car, saying like, enjoy being poor, you know, to the people who didn't buy Bitcoin. I mean, it's all the same. It's all the same. It's just humans, you know, people being people, but it's not even what it's just what we've been conditioned to be, because our whole reality has been based on these lies. And I can't, you know, the past week has been so difficult. Um, it just like, I don't know what to do about it anymore. You know, I can do the work, I can do what I do. That doesn't seem to be satisfying me in the way that it used to. I'm going to do some today. I'm going to do some work on it. I'm going to go on the attack in the only way that I can. I'm not a fighter. I don't know how to use a gun. I'm not trained in martial arts or survival or any of that stuff. I mean, I'm pretty useless when it comes right down to it. Like, I don't know how to fix anything. I don't know how any of this works, you know, but I have a skill set that I can use, and so I'm going to, and that's pretty much the only thing that I can do. And I'm sorry that this is like kind of a heavier tone and a heavier message. I know a lot of people tune in to these kind of things because they want to hear the light. And you know, there's some good episodes coming up on John's channel here, Humankind, in the next couple of days. Some very, you know, beautiful, powerful women who are going to be doing some, you know, work with like meditation and sound healing, and they have a great message, and I support them fully. But it's just not where I'm at, you know, and I can't do that, and it's not really what I've ever been about anyway. So it's like whatever. Um, Anyone who's watching right now, you know, if you're kind of in a similar space, if it's been like a bit of a gut punch, yes, thank you for being here again, Allison. I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, anyone wants anything moved or shifted or worked on, you know, let me know, and I'll do what I can for you. But just to start things off today, I'm not going to really talk about human design too much. The transits are the transits. You know, it's Pluto at the end of its time in the 60th gate. It's the node shifting. It's you know, Neptune at the end of its time in the 36th. It's just endings. It's the end. You know, it's the end of whatever we've been in for the past 4 years, 5 years. Like, it's good, you know. But it's also like, yeah, it's the end, and it feels that way, and it feels heavy, and I worry. You know, I have a daughter. I worry about what's going to be on the other side. I'm very worried about it. I don't feel optimistic. Um, I'm worried about the state of the world. You know, that not the people in it, but just like, again, how manipulated we've all been. You know, that you can't, like, just what's in the food, what's in the, like, the gasoline, you know, people washing their clothing in endocrine disrupting chemicals, like it's no big thing, like none of it's gonna, like, it's we're all being so affected by what's been put into us, both the information as well as like the chemicals, you know, the I don't know if they're chemtrails or whatever. All I know is that when I was a kid, whatever the jets put out didn't stay in the sky and expand into cloud. Like, it didn't happen. You know, there's metal. Like, there's metals in our gasoline. You know, you can smell it. You can smell it when cars drive by. I know cars have always been like stinky, but you can smell. It's like, no, this isn't good for us to be breathing. Like, and you know, to that end as well, like most of the people on the planet grew up with lead in gasoline. Like, they're brain damaged, like, for real. You know, you if you grew up when lead was being what's the word, aerosolized in like into the environment, like, you have brain damage. Your brain didn't form correctly. You know, I was born in 1980. There was lead, like leaded gasoline. My brain didn't form there's no way around that. Like, it's just what it is, you know, and I don't see people really acknowledging that like we're really compromised, really, really compromised. Our health, our mental health, above all, is just really compromised, you know, and I don't know. I don't know. So let's, yeah, I don't know. Let's see let's see what's out there. So, again, anyone watching, anyone who catches this video at some point, it doesn't need to be, while I'm doing it live. It can just be whenever you happen to catch it. Um, hopefully you'll get something. Hopefully you'll get something that will help you out, because we need help. I need help. We all need help. This is like, it's kind of scary, quite honestly. And I don't see anyone being in a position to really help anyone, like truly. It's like you can go to therapy your whole life, you're never going to heal. Like, that's a known thing. Um, I don't care how much ayahuasca you take. It's not going to fix you. I don't know what the answers are, but I know that, uh, when I work on people, there's impact, things change. So I'll just do that, because I honestly don't know what else to really do. That's all that helpful. Allison, seems that when things shift in a positive direction lately, they pretty quickly go back to how they were before. Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. It's kind of weird. Like, it's a real, like, two steps forward, one step back kind of thing. I mean, that's also could be, planets going into retrograde, and us having to, right? Like, that's the thing. We don't even have a choice. It's like when the planets go retrograde, we have to go over territory we've already been over. And we were talking about Pluto, you're talking about Neptune, these planets that spend almost half the year moving backwards. It's like, yeah, we're not going anywhere fast, you know. So yeah, and in short, Allison, yeah, I have noticed that it's really just more of the same. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Okay. So yeah, so like what I was saying, got to go on the attack, got to go on the offensive. Waiting for it and responding is all well and good, but and sometimes it's correct, but I don't think that's where we are. So I'm just trying to get a handle on what it is that I'm supposed to be targeting here. Okay. Yeah, so there's okay, sure. So there's people, again, maybe it's like the Rothschilds, maybe it's the Rockefellers, maybe there's a family called the Pacer family. Apparently they're the richest family. And they're descendants of like French royalty. Marie Antoinette had a son who apparently survived the French Revolution, and he was spirited away to America, where he very quickly became like a railroad baron of some kind, and and apparently they own like everything. Like they own BlackRock. They own Merrill Lynch. They own Bank of America. You know, no one knows too much about it. I've heard people talk about it. I don't know if it's true. But what I do know is that there are people. There are people doing this. There are people making decisions, and maybe it is just sheer pettiness. It's just like they want to make money. They don't care how it gets made. They don't care what kind of chemicals get put into the environment. They don't care how those chemicals impact their own children. That's entirely possible. It could just be that, just stupid, petty, greedy humans. Sure. You know, I don't think that's what it is. I don't get that's what it is. I get there are people on the planet who are frequency holders for something. They're holding the frequency of what you can call evil. They're holding the frequency of conflict. They're holding the frequency of strife and poverty and ruin. And that's what they're here for. And I don't know why. I don't know what kind of karma they had that would put them in that situation, or what kind of karma they're incurring by holding this frequency for the planet. What I've come to understand is that there's very little choice. People are what they are, and no one really changes all that much. I mean, um, I've always been like this. I've always been like unhappy, and kind of like focused on things that don't work so well. And when I had Stephanie in here a couple of weeks back, we ended our conversation talking about the cards of destiny. And in that system, I'm the Ace of Spades. And when you look at the Ace of Spades, and she actually talked about it. She said, the Ace of Spades tends to struggle with, depressive tendencies, and it's basically because the Ace of Spades, it's the most psychic or spiritual card in the cards of destiny. And as someone who is very psychic and is very connected spiritually, I am honestly horrified by life on this plane. Like it bothers me to no end. And I can't do anything. Like I can't do anything. I can do what I can do. I can touch the people who I touch. I can help the people who I help. But I mean, this is what this place is. Like this is what it is. It doesn't need to be. It can be better 100%. And I can see all the ways that it can be better. And I can see all the ways that people can function better, but they're not gonna. They're going to make the choices that they've always made, because that's basically what their programming is. Just like I've made the choices that I've made because of the programming that I have. It's not like I'm superior because I'm the most psychic or spiritual card. Like, it's just what it is, and it's not easy. It's not a gift. It's just what I am. So I can't change it. I can't go get a job. I can't go work a 9 to 5. I haven't done that since I was like 27. I'm 44 years old. I can't. Like, I just can't. I literally can't, physically can't. Like, I will break if I do that, and there's people who can't not do that. Like, they need the structure. They need to show up at the same time every day. They need to know where their paycheck is coming from. And like, God bless them, because that they make this whole thing work. Like, they make the whole thing work, The power's on, the heat's on. I don't know how any of it works. Someone does though, and they show up every day and make sure that it happens. Like, awesome, If I talk to them about what I'm into, they're not going to care at all, and like, nor should they. Anyway, frequency holders. Yeah, there's some dark there's some dark families, and they do dark, terrible things, like things that, again, for most people would be unthinkable. But for them, it's natural. It's just what they do, and it's what they are. And it's not, obviously there's like something wrong with that. And I don't know why they're doing it, but they're doing it, and we're going to work on them. And we're going to, shift their position. Because right now they're at the top of the power structure. If you do, like, again, talking about this, chaos, this book. I mean, it's people at the very top who are making these decisions. It's people with the most influence and the most wealth, and it's like, you look at, John D. Rockefeller, who was at the time I think he, in terms of public record, I think he's the richest person who ever lived, I believe. If you convert his fortune into modern day money, it's like, like $1 trillion. It's unreal how much money that this dude, when people were really poor, early 1900s, like, there was real poverty, like people starving, like, children working in factories. Like, he had all the money, like all the money. And he basically almost single-handedly formed the education and medical systems, right? So before, the 1920s, people, there was like country doctors, and there were like homeopaths, and there were chiropractors, and there were all these people doing things. And he and his team basically came up with this term quack, you know. They made it so that if you didn't have a lab, if you didn't have like millions of dollars to do like all the research and get all the, necessary equipment and access, I forget the university John Hopkins, um, uh, he basically formed the American Medical Association, and if you weren't part of that association, you couldn't practice medicine. If you didn't have a license, right? And then if you did and you practiced medicine in a way that they didn't like, well, your license would be taken away, and you'd be called a quack. Your career would be over. Same with the education system, right? It was like it wasn't, he and his team basically formed this the structure of the system that we've all again been heavily conditioned by, right? This sort of competitive, research based, really like material kind of way of looking at the world. And if you didn't see the world in that way, or couldn't for whatever, then yeah, you weren't going to do very well. You weren't going to graduate. And it was all made just to create workers, right? Just workers who did what they were told, who could read the manual and work the, machine. And that's it, right? That's what, and the, I mean, I don't know what our capacity actually is. We've all been educated, and we've all been vaccinated, and we've all been poisoned by our food and our air. I don't know what we're actually capable of. I know what humans have done. I don't know if we're at all capable of that anymore, because of what's been done to us, and it's a real shame. But again, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's exactly how it's supposed to go. It's the background energy. It's the program. It's the planetary transits. It's like we got very little control. But yeah, let's take a look at these families that are the frequency holders for this darkness. And it's not only darkness, it's a blocking of light, right? It's a blocking of knowledge. It's like like they're priests, like high priests, like they're the conduit, they're the one who speaks to God, and then they tell us what God has said. They control what we can read and what we can view and what we can say in a lot of cases, what gets published, what doesn't, who gets the spotlight. And a lot of them have, they have a lot of occult knowledge, and there are defenses in place that they have. They're not atheists, they're not Christian or Jewish or whatever, they're none of these things. They're their own thing. Some people talk about they're still worshiping Baal, or Moloch, right? These old world gods that kind of demand child sacrifice and like all this stuff. Maybe they are. Either way, they have awareness, and they have defenses. I can't knock them out. But it's just like what I was saying. There's a darkness, right? They're blocking light. They're not doing things visibly, right? They're not showing themselves. Like I said, there may be families we don't even know. Like we all know, well, not we all, but we know Rothschilds, we know Rockefellers, we know Clintons, for that matter. We know the Bushes, right? The Bush family has a very interesting history. If anyone wants to take a peek at that one, it's very possible George H.W. Had a hand in the Kennedy assassination. He for sure had a hand in the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. Anyone interested in checking that one out? That's a really interesting thing. Reagan got shot by the son of a man who was a close family friend of George H.W. Bush and his father. George H.W.'s father, I believe his name was Prescott. He was a banker in the 1930s, and attempted to overthrow the American government in favor of a fascist regime. Um, what was the guy's name? Smedley Butler uh, was a Marine Corps colonel, I believe, who they tried to employ to lead the military in this coup. And that's real. That's history. It's very much there. Nothing happened to him, of course, because he's very powerful and wealthy, and who knows what else? Who knows what dirt he has on who? Um, but yeah, we can make it visible. We can remove their cloak, the way that they block light, so that they can not only so that we can not only get the access to the information that's been, kept from us, blocked from us, but also like it kind of backlights these people. It makes it very clear what they're doing, and that's really the only thing that we have. They're so powerful. They're so powerful. Like they have more money and more people who owe them more favors than they can cash in 50 million life. Like it's ridiculous, to think that we can mount any kind of defense against what they're capable of. They have, I mean, God, like for sure they have underground bunkers that they can retreat into. It's entirely possible that there's a whole underground kind of breakaway society. Um, the reason why we're so far in debt, like the world, why it's so far in debt, why every country has insane amounts of debt, is because all this money is being used to build these sort of underground cities that are very advanced. I haven't seen it. I've heard people talk about it. Maybe it's possible. But the only way that anyone's going to make it through this in any kind of way is to know what it is, and um, as long as these people are holding this frequency of blocking the light, blocking not only the awareness of the background, but the awareness of the people who are doing the actual blocking. As long as that's going on, we can't know, or we can't begin. We're not going to get it all at once, but we can begin to kind of start to understand, start to see our way, our way forward, our way through it as individuals. As I keep on saying, this isn't a collective process. Most people are not going to care, and nor should they, and that's fine. Um, I just don't want them to get in my way, and I don't want to suffer at the hands of their ignorance. So for those who have eyes to see, you know, things will be more clear moving forward. There will be more access moving forward, more awareness of what's been kept from us and who's been keeping it. Truly, like truly who's been keeping it. And it's not going to stop it, right? They're still going to do what they do because they don't have a choice, right? They're here to hold this frequency, but they won't be doing it they won't be able to hide, and they won't be able to hide it from everyone anymore. Okay, well, easy enough. Um, Allison, is there anything, or anyone else who's here currently? Anyone who wants anything done for them specifically? Uh, Please let me know. Send me a message in the chat. I'm going to drink a little bit of water and give you all a minute to think it over. All right. Well, that's fine. I think, you know, I think that's probably just where I'll end it today. I'm sorry, guys. Like my energy is kind of weird today. It's really strange. I'm feeling something really strong, and dealing with a huge amount of negativity. Okay. Well, Allison's jumping in. But anyway, I'll finish my thought here. Like I'm also, what Allison's saying is she's dealing with a huge amount of negativity. I am as well. And I can't seem to get above it. I can't seem to find a way through it. I'm just going to be totally honest. I'm not going to come here and tell people about, the great the great things because I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling it, guys. Like I'm just not, and I can't be dishonest. So let's see if there's anything we can do for Allison and this negativity. And again, by extension, maybe for me, we can shift something there. Anyone else who's watching, whether it be now or in the future. Yeah, I appreciate you too, Allison. Thank you. Yeah. So, it's just that same thing. It's like we're all, in a lot of ways, The Matrix is a documentary, and we're all plugged um, in a certain way, very literally, plugged in. And so, just what I'm seeing, Allison, when I take a look at you, is that there is this cord, that's basically plugged into your cervical spine, right close to the base of your neck, and it's not even there to siphon energy or to do anything, but just to create a little bit of pain and a little bit of discomfort. It's like when you're injured and you're not able to move your body pain free, your mood suffers. Everything's just a little bit harder. Um, it's impossible to ignore that every time you bend that knee, there's a sharp pain. And this is basically what this cord does. It's like it just makes it just a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort that's impossible to actually ignore. You're going to feel it when you move in a certain way, especially when you pull against it, right? Because it's like a tether. It doesn't allow for freedom. It doesn't allow for freedom of movement. It doesn't allow for freedom of thought, because as soon as you start thinking something and your body starts taking you in that direction, you get yanked. That tether gets activated, and you get a little bit of pain, a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of negativity, and everyone around you is going to have that too. So maybe they're going to feel like you're pulling them in that direction, right? Because your thought, your intention, your energy, you're trying to move away from where this thing wants you, and everyone else is plugged into it. So they're, and they're kind of feeling that pull, and maybe they're even attracted to it and they're drawn to it, because in the end, it's what we all want, right? We don't want to be in pain. We don't want to be leashed or, tethered to this thing that causes us to be, mildly irritated, mildly upset, not able to, again, focus on what truly matters because you just got this pain. You can't. There's a really interesting Kurt Vonnegut short story. I forget what it's called now, but it's basically about that. It's like society reaches this point where like fairness and like equity becomes paramount, and so if your intelligence is above average, then you're fitted with a hearing aid that blasts a sound into your ear every 30 seconds or so that you can have like a full thought. And if you're very athletic, then you have to walk around carrying chains, and that's basically what this thing does. It's like it just disrupts, right? It disrupts the natural movement, the ability to have freedom of thought, freedom of movement, to just be what you are. We're all like tethered to this thing. So I'll remove this tether for Allison, and again, it's in the cervical spine for her. I don't know if it's there, the same place for everybody, but for her, that's very much where it is. And I actually see like this sort of heat resonance, like there's like again, just irritation, redness, all that stuff. Mine, if I check in on it, and this is the really cool thing about this work, and this is why I really love doing it, is because it does, like I learn things every time I work on someone, I learn something, and I can use it for my own benefit as well. So, I see Allison and she's got this thing in her cervical spine. I look at myself and it's in my liver. And, without fail, when I get acupuncture or anything like that, like my liver is what always kind of demands the most attention. So that makes a lot of sense. So what I would advise, you can do this. You don't need me doing it for you. Just be aware, try and find it in your own self. Like, where are you tethered? Where are you irritated? Um, where's your freedom being limited? Your freedom of movement. And just imagine, visualize, visualize pulling it out. See what it looks like. Don't try to dictate what it looks like. Don't try to, make it something. Just see what it is. That's all that I do, right? I just see what's there, and I see it as it is, and that's, whatever. It's the Ace of Spades. It's my gift. Sweet, good, whatever. We can all do it to a certain degree. Just see what's there and see it being removed. See where your consciousness takes you. See, to find out where you're tethered, and watch it come out, and you will have a physical sensation. There will be a visceral experience of it. And it won't be that's okay, Allison. Yeah, you can try. Like, there might be some more for you to take care of, but we just did that for you. So you're set, as it were. So just observe, see if there's any difference over the next few days. Okay. Okay, well, that's it. That's it. That's all I got today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I'll be in a better mood next week, I promise. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you.